So you clicked this video because you just got your new Pro Stringer and now you want to learn how to string it. Well, don't worry because I got you covered. No further explanation, let's just jump right into it. First things first, before we start, I want to know if you still have strings on your racket. If you do, I want you to take a picture of the pattern just like here on the screen. And if not, then I want you to go online and look up your racket and your string pattern. That way we'll know which holes to skip when working on the mains. But anyways, let's keep going. Check your racket and make sure there's no cracks or holes in them. If you see a little crack or something, it could be paint or it could be the racket. If you're not too sure, just make sure to take it to someone who's more experienced before we start working on it ourselves. Alright, now before we actually start stringing, you probably know whether if your racket has 16 mains or has 18 mains. For example, 16 by 19 is 16 mains, that means it's open. If it's 18 mains, that means it's closed. Now, if you have 16 mains, that means that you're gonna be pulling roughly 20 feet of string for both the main and the crosses. You'll have extra on the cross. Usually the cross uses less string than the main, but because we're just starting off, it's always better to have more string than not enough. If you have 18 mains, I want you to pull roughly around 21 feet to 21 and a half feet, just to make sure that you have enough. With the Pro Stringer, because it's so close, you're gonna actually be using less, but of course, after you string a few rackets, you'll get the hang of it, and you can always lessen the amount as you go. All right, so let's get started. So if you see here, I have the Pro Stringer and everything that came with it in order to get started. So let's set it all up. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna take this piece right here and also the cable, and we're just going to connect the two because I'm in the US and I can't use this. So this is the adapter. I'm gonna go to the US, push that out, and we're gonna plug that in right here. We're going to take this thing right here. This is the actual stringer. And as you can see, there's a little input here. We're just going to take this, the big with the big and the small with the small. We're gonna put it in and screw it on. And you'll know that the stringer is on and plugged in due to the red light here. And this dial right here is to adjust the different tension. I don't actually do 61, but after I've strung a few of my rackets, I've noticed that it was slightly off. So make sure that your tension is correct. And it might take a little bit of trial and error depending on what machine you have. Not all the machines are the same, but once you get the tension all figured out, then it's good to go. Alright, so we're almost done setting up. We're going to need this clamp here and as well as these 3 beams over here. So mine's been through a bit of wear and tear. As you can see here, it goes all the way through. The cushion is not cushioned anymore. So I'm just going to take some napkins. Of course, you don't have to if yours is new. And I'm just going to clamp it to the side of the counter. And then we're just going to tighten the clamp here to make sure that it's all set and sturdy so it doesn't move. Now we're gonna take this support beam here and we're gonna screw it on the top of this. Take these two and just connect them together. And then you're gonna see that middle part there and put it right on top. Alrighty, now that we're all set up here, we're gonna grab our racket. Today I'm using my Diadem Nova Tour. And we're going to make sure that the bottom is with this bottom right here. So the bottom of this is going to be on that side and the top is going to be on the other side. And I want to make sure that when I put the racket in, it's going to be centered. So the center of the bottom is in line with the center of the top. Of course, you can adjust it however you'd like in order to make sure that the racket is stable. Not too tight though, because it will tighten up a little bit, so make sure it's slightly loose. Alright, so now that we have our racket centered, we're going to be taking these items next in order to mount it into place. So we're just going to put it in here. These as well. I'm just going to screw them on top. And just like that, we're all set to start stringing. So as I mentioned, it's going to be roughly around 20 feet for mine since I use a 16 by 19. And I like to use the racket as a reference. So my racket is 27 inches. And if you do the math, then it's roughly around 8-ish pulls. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm just gonna pull a little extra just to be safe. So we're gonna take our nail clipper and we're just gonna cut it. And I like to cut it at an angle so that it's easier for me to use it later and put it in the holes. Okay, like that. So it's angled. So now it's easier to insert inside the holes. Okay, so next thing I want you guys to take a look at. If you have 6 holes here, as you can see, I have 6 here. That means I'm going to be starting at the bottom of the racket. I'm going to be putting the string through here and the string through here, right in the center, right? But if you have 8 holes, at the bottom here, you're actually going to be starting at the top. So it'll be the same. You'll do one on the left, one on the right, both in the center, right? Except instead of the bottom, you're going to be starting at the top. I have 6, so we're going to start at the bottom. And we're just going to pull it through all the way to the corresponding one on the other side. And grab the other end of your string, right? And do the same. So now that you have the string on the other side, you're going to want to line up the two together. Just like this, make sure that they're even, and then you're just gonna pull. So you can either just pull just to make sure that it's all evened out, right? And you're gonna grab your clamps. Make sure that your clamps are pretty tight. To do that, you have a screw here that you can use to tighten it just by turning the knob. Here we go. So I like to pull on this side to make sure that the string is somewhat tight, and then I'm gonna clamp it right on top and close it just like that. We're gonna leave that there for now. All right, so now we've officially started to string. So here we go. I'm gonna start on one of the sides. Either side works, doesn't matter which one. And we're gonna pull it to the other side. All right, pull it through. And now we're gonna tension. So we're gonna take our machine, put it down, and tension it. To tension it, you're gonna wanna pull it close to the thing here. You want the racket close to it. You're gonna pull it forward, inside, and leave it there. And if you can hear this, there's a slight click, or just to make sure that the string is fully in the machine. You hear that? Okay. So after we've done that, the button is red, right? Make sure it's against the racket properly. I'm just gonna lift the claw up a little bit since I don't like it to move so much. And then we're gonna click the button. Ready? All right. So now that you see the machine is green, and that means that it's fully tensioned. Sometimes it does still move a little bit, and that's okay. You're gonna wanna take your other clamp here and clamp the strings. And let go of that. We have both claws clamped on the strings right there. These are the two center, and then this one is one connected to the center and one connected to the line that we just did. So we're just gonna insert it into the next hole, and once again, insert it into the corresponding hole, pull it through, and then we're gonna tension. And we're gonna click the button. And we're gonna grab this clamp. We're not gonna touch the first clamp that we put down. We're gonna grab the clamp that we just put down. Take it off, put it close to where we just did, and clamp it again. Once more. Okay, so I've done 6 lines by now, and I have a 16 by 19 frame, which means that I'm going to skip this 7th one. So that's why I asked you to take a picture of your stringing pattern before. If you're not too sure what racket you have, whether it's 16 by 19, 18 by 20, make sure to look it up on Google or check the picture that you initially took to see which grommet you're going to skip. So my racket is 16 by 19, so I'm gonna be skipping the 7th and the 9th hole. So I'm gonna be skipping this one right here. Let me bring you guys closer. So I counted here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 7th hole, which means I'm going to be skipping it. So I'm not gonna put the string through that one. I'm gonna put it through the next one. And then when I pull it through, I'm going to be skipping that one as well. So because I skipped it on the other side, I'm going to be skipping this hole as well. So now that we have that, we're gonna tension. And 16 by 19, you're gonna skip both the 7th and the 9th. So that means we're going to be skipping this one again. Look closely, we're gonna be skipping this one here. Right? Let's put that through. So just because we skipped the one on the top, we're gonna skip the one on the bottom as well. Just like that, we have 2 skips. We have it on 7 and we have it on 9. Then we're gonna tension. Remove the clamp and clamp it close to the other side. Okay, so now for the knot, you can either knot it here on this one or here, whichever you see fit. I like to just skip one and do it on the other side. So either one works. And this is how we're going to knot it. I think this is called a Wilson Pro knot, but the name doesn't matter. So what we're going to do, let's hope you guys can see this properly. We have it in this hole here and we have the string here, right? So we're gonna go over the string. We're gonna bring this string. If you can't see well here, it's also on other people's YouTubes, so you can see that. Let's hope it focuses here. We're gonna go over the string. This is the string we're gonna go over. We're gonna come under, come back on top. Does that make sense? We're gonna go through it. We're gonna pull that through. So we'll go again, over, under, we're gonna go through. Okay, so that's the first part. Then for the second one, we're gonna go over, right, under, and now we're gonna go through that hole we just created earlier. We're gonna take this, when we pull it, that part is going to tighten. Okay, I'm just gonna take my pliers so it's easier. Here are the pliers, came with it. And we're gonna manually pull it, right? This one's gonna be pulled, and you see how it tightens? Okay, now that I manually pulled that one, now I can pull this one as well. And just like that, that's your knot. And you can take your nail clipper and just cut it. Right, there we go. Now that we finished all of that on one side, I want you guys to do the same on the other side. And I'll see you guys when we start doing the crosses. All right, so now that we're done with our mains, we have the clamps off, we're gonna measure our string in order to start on the crosses. Okay, once again, I cut it at an angle so that it's gonna be easier to put through the holes. Now you can start at the top or the bottom. I prefer to start at the top, but either works. It doesn't really matter where you start. So let me take you guys for a closer look. I'm gonna take one end of the string and I'm gonna put it through this hole here because we skipped this earlier and this is gonna be our first hole that we do. We're gonna go make sure that it's alternating. So one under or one over, start however you'd like. I'm gonna start over for this one. One over, one under, over, under, over, under, until you get to the corresponding hole, which is this one right here. You're gonna feed that through, and then we're going to make a starting knot. Alrighty, so you're gonna make sure you're gonna put it in the appropriate hole. It could be the one next to it. On my racket, it's actually marked here, so I'm just gonna put it through that hole. It could be right next to it, or it could be, you could skip one and put one there. Alright, so let's get to making our starting knot. So we're gonna make sure we have a good amount of string. We're gonna go over and under, but we're not gonna bring it through. Alright, you have one loop here, and then we're gonna go over again. We're gonna go under, come up, and you see how we have these two circles here? The end of the string here, over the two circles, and through. Just like that. Then you can tighten it. I'm gonna pull a little less so that I don't have to cut so much off. Just like that. So just like that, I've lessened the amount of string we're gonna use. I'm gonna hold this, and then I'm going to pull. I'm going to pull this so that it tightens. Alright, and it's okay if it's a little loose, because what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this end and we're gonna tension this side. Alright, and if you saw that, the knot is now tight because of the string. I'm just gonna tension that just to make sure that this tightens up. I'm gonna release it. So, like I said earlier, we always want the strings to be alternating. So earlier, if I go here, it is one more further out. So now that we're here, like I said, we want it alternating. So this one is over, so we have to make sure this next one is under. So we go over again, under, and then we're just gonna do the same all the way through to the alternating side. Okay, so now that you've got it to feed through, as you're pulling, you want a little bit of movement in the strings. That's to cause less friction on the strings, because if you were to just pull it, it's gonna cause friction here and your strings are going to break faster, right? So we've pulled that fully there, and we're gonna tension now. Okay, grab your clamp, put it here. Oh, and I forgot to mention, see, we still have this extra here. We can just cut it off since it's gonna get in the way. If we don't, just cut it off there. So, clamp it down. And now, we're just gonna repeat the process throughout the whole rest of the racket, making sure that we're constantly alternating over, under. Okay. Just like that. Grab your other clamp, and we're gonna put it on. And then we're just gonna continue. Remember to keep the strings alternating and make sure that if it's under on the bottom, then it's gonna be over on the top. Under, over, under, over, over, under, over, under, right? Same thing. So we're gonna tension here. Make sure you're grabbing the clamp that's closest to the machine. So on this side, it's gonna always be this clamp, and on the other side, it's always gonna be this clamp, all right? Go that one and move it over. Okay, so do this for the rest of the strings, the rest of the grommets, and I'll see you guys when we're almost done. Good tip to know if you skipped one on accident is if you end off, say you started under, and you end under, that means you probably messed up somewhere. Okay, so now that we're almost done, I have about 2 lines left. It's going to get harder to actually weave it through now. So instead, I'm going to thread it through. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of the string, go over, come up, under, over, under. All right, just like that. And like I said, making sure each one is alternating, both vertically and horizontally. For example, this one's over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Same thing. Okay. All right, and to end it off, we're gonna go to a suitable hole. This one looks pretty good right here. Just one right next to it. I used the other one earlier. And we're going to do the pro knot once again. Just put this in. Take this. So we'll go again, over, under, we're gonna go through. Okay, so that's the first part. Then, for the second one, we're gonna go over, right, under, and now we're gonna go through that hole we just created. We're gonna take this, when we pull it, that part is going to tighten. Okay, I'm just gonna take my pliers so it's easier. Here are the pliers, came with it. And we're gonna manually pull it, right? Okay, now that I manually pulled that one, now I can pull this one as well. Make sure that it's tight. Then we're just gonna cut it off. And just like that, we are finished. Alrighty guys, let's take off our clamps. Okay, I'm going to just push up the strings just a little bit so that they're all even and where I want them to be. Okay, unscrew both sides. And just like that, we're finished. Brand new racket, tension that I like it, and yeah, I know it was a little tough probably for the first time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope it was easy to follow. Good job today. I don't know how long it took you, but the more you do it, the faster you'll get at it and the easier it'll become. So have fun stringing. If you have any questions for me, comment them down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications to be notified every time I post. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. If you have any questions about the Pro Stringer, and if you don't have a Pro Stringer for yourself and you want something that's super portable, I mean, look at me, I am stringing in my kitchen on a counter. But yeah, so if you want a Pro Stringer for yourself, check the description down below. I have the link for you. They have squash, badminton, tennis rackets, and I also have a code in order for you to get money off. So make sure you put that in if you're checking one out for yourself. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video.